A security camera in a busy mall catches a crowd gathering around a scene. Officers handcuffing a young black teenager who looks no older than 16. His eyes are wide with fear. His voice trembling as he tries to explain, but the officers don't listen. Shoppers whisper, some recording with their phones, others shaking their heads. No one knows the boy's identity. Not even the police. What they think is a routine arrest for theft is about to turn into one of the most shocking revelations the city has ever seen. This isn't just any boy. They are handcuffing the son of the very police captain who commands their badge. And what happens next will test loyalty, justice, and the meaning of dignity in ways none of them imagined. The mall was packed with families, couples, and teenagers roaming from one store to another. It was the weekend, the air filled with chatter, music from loudspeakers, and the smell of cinnamon pretzels wafting from food stalls. Among them was Jamal, a boy with a quiet demeanor but eyes full of curiosity. He had saved his allowance for weeks just to buy a pair of sneakers that had been released, a pair he had dreamed of owning. Jamal walked into the store, clutching a folded wad of bills in his hand, smiling with excitement. But smiles don't always shield against prejudice. As Jamal browsed, an older woman nearby eyed him suspiciously. She clutched her purse tighter, watching every move he made. When Jamal finally picked his sneakers and approached the counter, he pulled out his saved money. At that exact moment, the woman whispered to a store employee that she thought she saw him slip something into his backpack. Within minutes, 2 officers arrived, their boots heavy on the tile, their voices sharp. "Empty the bag," one of them ordered, not even bothering to ask Jamal's name. Jamal froze, confused, trying to explain. "I didn't take anything. I was just buying these." His voice cracked as he held out the cash. But his words fell against stone faces. They grabbed him, twisted his arms behind his back, and handcuffed him in front of the crowd. Children stared. Phones recorded. His backpack was yanked open. Inside were only books, a water bottle, and a half-eaten sandwich. But the officers didn't stop. They said he looked nervous. And that was enough. Jamal's chest tightened. He wanted to scream that he wasn't a thief, that his father was the very man who taught these officers what integrity meant. But fear locked his voice. He thought about his dad's speeches at home. Always stay calm, Jamal. Always respect the badge, even when they don't respect you. So Jamal stayed silent as humiliation washed over him, tears stinging his eyes. Word spread quickly. Videos hit social media within minutes, captions blasting. Teen arrested at mall for stealing sneakers. No one knew the truth yet. Jamal sat in the back of the squad car, staring out at the same shoppers who now looked at him like a criminal. His heart ached, not because of the handcuffs, but because of the way strangers believed the worst about him without even knowing his name. Meanwhile, across the city, Captain Marcus Johnson, a respected police leader, was preparing to speak at a youth community event. His phone buzzed with call after call. When he finally answered, his blood ran cold. "Sir," a nervous officer stammered, "where we have your son in custody." He was arrested at the mall. Silence stretched on the line. Captain Johnson's hands trembled. His son, arrested. The same boy he had raised to walk with dignity. The boy he taught never to cut corners, never to let anger rule him. He didn't even wait to hear the details. He was already on his way. The squad car rolled into the station with Jamal inside. His shoulders sagged, his throat dry. He thought of his father's face. Disappointment, shame. But what he didn't know was that his father was already standing at the entrance, fury simmering beneath his controlled expression. The moment Captain Johnson saw his son step out in handcuffs, the world seemed to shatter. Gasps echoed around the precinct as officers realized the mistake. Some shifted nervously, others avoided his glare. Captain Johnson's voice was low, steady, but it carried the weight of a storm. "Remove those handcuffs. Now." The officers scrambled, fumbling with the keys. Jamal's wrists were freed, but the red marks remained, cutting into his skin like invisible scars. Johnson placed a protective arm around his son, pulling him close. For the first time, Jamal let his tears flow. His father looked at the men who had arrested his boy and said, "You saw his skin, not his soul. You assumed guilt before asking a question. And now, you've humiliated a child in front of an entire city." The room was heavy with silence. Jamal wiped his face, but deep down, he felt something ignite, something more powerful than anger. It was the realization that what happened to him happened to countless others. Only their fathers weren't captains with authority to protect them. He thought of all the faces in his community, the names spoken in whispers after unfair arrests, the kids who didn't get a second chance. As the truth unfolded, surveillance footage proving Jamal's innocence, witnesses coming forward, public outrage exploded. The same crowd that once recorded his arrest now demanded accountability. Jamal, once seen as a suspect, became a symbol. But it wasn't fame or pity he wanted. It was change. Captain Johnson, standing beside his son at a press conference days later, didn't speak as a police officer first. He spoke as a father. "If this can happen to my boy," he said, "it can happen to anyone's child. We can't keep pretending this is rare. This is real, and it ends with us choosing to see people as human first." Jamal's eyes scanned the room, meeting the cameras, the reporters, and maybe even the same strangers who once judged him. His voice shook but carried strength. "I'm not angry. I just don't want the next kid to go through what I did." The world listened, and for once, it felt like his voice was louder than the handcuffs that tried to silence him.